We are coming to you from Progressive Field in a very happy Cleveland, Ohio tonight, where Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. It's not LeBron James. It's Jose Abreu, Adam Eaton, Alexei Ramirez, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Jason Kipnis, Michael Brantley, and the Cleveland Indians. Hi, everybody, and welcome. We're Steve Stone. I'm Ken Harrelson as we get set to bring you the first of this three-game set. And this will be the last three games before the All-Star break. As you know, we're coming out of Boston where we had that four-game series with the Red Sox. We won the first two. They won the second two. And two tough losses for us. But coming in here, Connor Gillespie really had a big series up there.
Connor Gillespie's been doing a great job all year, but he's never been better than he was at Fenway Park. That's because the long ball was in evidence. Here's a guy that came into that series, just one home run. He leaves with 4. He went 6 for 9 in the series. He hit the 3 home runs, plus he hit everything in sight. He played terrific defense and did just about everything right. So if this was a coming out party for Connor Gillespie, if people didn't know about him, they certainly know about him now. He's hitting .323 overall, and he's starting to drive in runs. So that's what he's been doing. And you can understand with a slugging percentage like that why he would be very sad to leave Boston. But that being said, we've got to take on the Indians now, and they've been a slippery-fingered bunt. They lead the American League in errors.
Well, we are 7-3 against these guys, but we're going against their best pitcher tonight in Corey Kluber.
There's a couple guys we really have to worry about. One is Corey Kluber, and the other is Michael Brantley. Corey Kluber, the last 3 starts, has been close to unhittable. He's 2-1, but his ERA is under 1. As you can see, opponents not doing anything with him. As far as Michael Brantley is concerned, over the last 9 games, hitting .425. Overall this year, he's hitting .327. He's finally become the player that a lot of people thought he was going to be when they got him over from Milwaukee. He's turned into one of the league's best.
All right, some big bats in both lineups tonight here in Cleveland, so sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. AT&T U-verse. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT, mobilizing your world. And by Ford. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com.
Welcome back to Progressive Field on a beautiful night in Cleveland. Let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up our Sox for the game tonight. Adam Eaton leading it off with Alexei Ramirez in the 2 spot against the Indians, who's been red hot this year. Then it's Abreu, Dunn, and Viciedo, followed by red hot Connor Gillespie, Diaz, Nieto, and Garcia at second base, rounding it out. The defensive setup and how they'll line up behind Corey Kluber is Dickerson, Brantley, and Murphy in the outfield, with Chisenhall, Cabrera, Kipnis, and Santana in the infield. Yan Gomes behind the plate. And our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Corey Kluber. Moving on for his 20th start. His 8-6 is the area, terrific 286. As you can see, 137 strikeouts in just 125 2/3 with only 30 walks. He gets everything over the plate, and he's got a good fastball and a terrific slider. The umpires for the game tonight: Gary Cederstrom behind the plate, Hal Gibson is at first, Dan Iasoni at second, and C.B. Buckner at third. They're throwing the ball around the infield. We're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Stevie, thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox Baseball right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours as the first pitch of the ball game is taken, ball 1. Kluber's the kind of guy, you better beat him on his fastball. You better get him early in the count if he throws a fastball, because you're not going to beat him on his breaking stuff. He's good. He's a real good pitcher. Two and 0 the count. Adam comes in at 271, a homer. He's driven in 24. Adam has faced Kluber 4 times. He's 0 for 4. So the Sox come in hitting at 250 as a club with a 4.16 team ERA. Sox are 20 and 28 on the road, 24 and 21 at home. There's a chopper to Hopper.
And I'm sure this is going to come into play. This Indian team have committed 76 errors. They're particularly porous on the left side with Chisenhall and Cabrera. Yan Gomes has 11 errors behind the plate, but 9 of them came early. Lately, he's thrown the ball very well.
Here's Alexei. Hitting at 283, 8 homers and 41 driven in. Now field straight up. Spaced about equidistant. Jacks it up, fouls it back. 1 out, 1 ball, 1 strike if you're just tuning in. That's the base hit back through the middle. So with 1 on 1 out, let's pick out our picks to click tonight. Jim Angiar directing the crew. Well, they went with the Ozzy. Steve's going with Gillespie. And this is going to take a couple of seconds here, because Scott Reifert, Bob Bechtel, Lou Hernandez, Ray Garcia, Laney Dempster, Joe Rody, Ron Vesley, David Ratchke, Carmen Vitale, Julie Bartos, and of course Brooks Boyer, Bob Grimm, all those hard-working people who did such a fantastic job in helping Chris Sale get 6.7 million votes to get him in to the All-Star game at Target Field. They really worked their behinds off. And a big, big thank you to all of them. And that's coming also. I talked to Chris last night on the plane, and he asked me to wish all of you and give you his thanks. Abreu hitting at 287, 28 homers, and 71 knocked in.
Kluber's given up 9 home runs this year. That's not a high total in 126 innings.
Jose has faced Kluber 6 times, has 2 hits, one of them left the park.
Last 3 games, as he's done most of the year, hitting very well, even when he's not hitting the ball out of the ballpark. So he's got that batting average up to 287. You certainly can envision him as a 300 hitter just about each and every year, especially when he gets to know these guys.
That ball into right field. Murphy. So 2 down. And if you miss those 4 games up in Boston where we won the first 2, in the 3rd game, Chris Sale had 2 out in the 8th inning with a 4-0 lead, left the ball game, and we lose that game 5-4 in 9 innings. So a tough loss. Then yesterday, we lose that ball game. Another tough loss after having a lead. And there's the shift. Kipnis. And that'll retire the side. Nothing across. There was a hit, no errors, 1 left, and after happening in place, our guys nothing, and their guys coming to bat.
Leading it off was Hugo Cabrera, Michael Brantley, Carlos Santana, Lonnie Chisenhall, Nick Swisher, the DH, with Murphy, Gomes, and Dickerson rounding it out. The defense and how they'll set up behind Hector Nueze. Diaz, Eaton, and Viciedo in the outfield with Gillespie, Ramirez, Garcia, and Abreu in the infield. Adrian Nieto gets a nod behind the plate. And our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Hector Nueze. On for his 14th start, his 20th game overall. He's 3-6, his ERA just under 5. And he's faced the Indians a few times before. In fact, he's thrown very well against them.
Yes, he has. He did some good numbers against these guys.
2.81 career ERA.
But he's got 8 left-handed hitters he's going to be looking at. The only right-hander, Yan Gomes. Pros and cons on facing 8 left-handed hitters if you're a right-handed pitcher.
I think it's easier than splitting him 5 and 4, because once you lock in a release point on the outside corner when you're facing 8 left-hand hitters, you're going to throw some pretty good pitches. You're not going to miss that too often.
High pop up by Kipnis. And that's going to be a souvenir. And we want to welcome all the viewers who are watching the Cubs as they beat the Braves 5-4, we understand.
There you look at what Hector has done lifetime against these Indians. It's a small sample, granted. But if you're facing 8 left-handers like Michael Brantley, then you probably got some problems. But he is really good.
Really rolling.
Yes. With each and every passing day.
Kipnis hitting at 262. He's faced Noesi 7 times. He's 0 for 7. Indians hitting at 255 as a club with a 3.95 ERA. They are 27-18 here at home and 18-28 on the road.
And he just got hit in the face with the carom as that ball hit off Adrian and bounced up and hit Kipnis. Adrian can't corral it, and he gets it in the collarbone. Those guys from Northbrook are tough.
I don't know about all of them, but I know this one is.
He is that. What gives the Indians a whole lot of hope is last year, Jason Kipnis hit 307 from June 5th through the rest of the season. They're hoping for hot things the second part.
He is one tough customer. He is a good competitor.
That's what he's done for his career against our Sox.
It actually seems like his numbers should be better than that.
He's gotten some big hits, and he's hit the ball out of the ballpark quite a bit. But these days, they've got him, instead of the number 3 hitter, they've got him hitting in the leadoff spot.
That's a can of corn. One out.
It's a beautiful night. It's 75 degrees at game time, and the fans are still coming into the ballpark. So last night against the Yankees, they drew 28,000, which wasn't too bad. It was actually a well-attended series. They are hoping for in the neighborhood of 20 here this evening. See if they can get there.
They're averaging 18,144.
From what it used to be, and you remember, and you watched a whole lot of those 455 straight sellouts. It's a far cry from that these days.
There was a fanny in every seat. Well, this being one of the original teams, you got our Sox, you got Cleveland, you got Detroit, you got Yankees, others, original teams. Their fan base is tremendous. Now, some just, I don't think these fans are as good as Tiger fans, but they are good fans here. And you put something out there when they had those 455 consecutive sellouts, which at that time was a record. That'll show you what can happen when you. And that one team that they put out there, that's the best team I've ever seen. They could beat you any way you wanted to get beat. But I was really, when we came in the first time, I was really disappointed at the tournament.
Well, it's one thing. I mean, they got a fan base, and then the fan base slowly started to dwindle because the talent started to dry up. There wasn't a whole lot of money spent on the club. And then the team got decent last year.
As Cabrera pokes that one. That's exactly what he was trying to do. Just poke it into center field.
Menard's pitch tracks will show you that this ball is out of the zone, and he was in protection mode, so that's pretty much all you can do with it. And Cabrera, who's going to be a free agent at the end of this season and probably needs to have a big second half to make some money next year, gets a base hit.
Well, here's the best player on the team right here. And it actually has been, from a baseball standpoint, fun to watch Michael Brantley mature.
Well, the power numbers, home runs and runs driven in, are getting better and better with every passing year.
Oh, nice pick by Liuri. Rack 'em up. Beautiful twin killing right there. That's a major league double play. And that will end the bottom of the first inning.
Thanks a lot, Hawk. And I don't know where you and Steve were today around 12:30 local time, but moments after Carlos Rodon's signing became official, Cleveland erupted. Cars were, horns were honking, people were pouring out onto the street in celebration. Now there's some speculation that has to do with some guy named LeBron who signed with the local basketball team. But the White Sox, I can tell you, are very excited that Carlos Rodon is now in the fold. Earlier today, they were able to officially sign him to a $6.5 million signing bonus and bring him in. Rick Hahn at the time called him a premier talent, a top-tier rotation pitcher who could be in the mix as soon as next year. For now, Rodon is headed to Winston-Salem, and he's got to work out, but the White Sox plan to introduce him to the local media next week, and Rick Hahn wouldn't rule out the possibility that he pitches for the team this season, nor that he pitches next year, based on how he handles all of the upcoming week and following that.
Well, Dan, has he been throwing it all?
You know, it hasn't been competitive. The word is right now that he may have been working out on his own, but at the same time, he hasn't pitched since May 16th. That's when North Carolina State's season ended. But it's been 2 months, and I know that they're going to take their time with him and want to see where he is. Obviously, when you make an investment like this, you don't want to rush a guy, even if you do want him in the majors next season.
And he also signed, Dan, he signed about a week before the deadline, so that was kind of nice. They were able to sign him without a whole lot of drama heading into the deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, since the start of this last month, Rick Hahn talked about having a lot of comfort dealing with Scott Boras, and I know that's a strange thing to say at times because I think people definitely think of Scott Boras as a super negotiator, but it seemed like there was a good kind of ideal. I guess both sides saw how good this deal was all along. There never really seemed to be any worry on the White Sox part. Both sides agreed not to negotiate publicly, which I think helps matters because you don't have kind of he said, she said stuff going on, and you can kind of negotiate clear and free. And Rick actually mentioned today that, you know, it's a good deal for the White Sox. It's a very good deal for Carlos Rodon. The amount he agreed to is actually about $80,000 more than what #1 pick Brady Aiken had agreed to before his injury came up, and he took a reduced deal. So he got first overall pick money, and the White Sox get their player in time.
All right, Dan Hayes, thank you very much. There's a double by Gillespie. He has really been tattooing that baseball.
That's a slider, and it's down and out over the plate, and Connor takes it down the line. Boy, he has been something. That's double number 22, and a good effort by Santana. He just couldn't get to it.
6 for 9 with 3 home runs in that Boston series. So here's Diaz hitting at .235, 5 homers, 27 driven in. Pick him up. Let's get on that board.
Michael Brantley has the most accurate, might be the best arm in the outfield in center.
There's the strike, says Gary. Alejandro's faced Kluber 14 times, has 2 hits.
That ball was off the plate, and if Gary Cederstrom stays out there the entire game, well, you got no complaints. But if it's establishing that that's a strike, it's going to be a good night for the pitchers.
Jacks it up. 2-1.
As you can see, Alejandro has been red hot. In fact, a lot of these guys swinging the bats as well as they've swung it all year long.
And there's a base hit. Murphy gets to it, gets it back in. So runners at the corners now with 1 out.
This ball up and in, it's a fastball, and it tails over the plate. Alejandro, who stands right on top of the plate, had plenty of room to take that ball into right field, but Connor does not have the greatest speed around, and so it is runners at the corners with a chance to score.
Well, even though he didn't read it perfectly at all, he still was not going to score.
No. Even though David Murphy has far from the normal right fielder's arm.
No, there's no Moises Sierra.
No, it's not many of those around.
And nobody else in this league
No.
is. I don't know about the National League. Maybe Puig.
Yeah, Puig's got a cannon.
So here's Nieto. Adrian at 242. And Adrian takes ball 1. Well, the signing of Carlos Rodon, you never know in this game what's going to happen. That's one of the most beautiful things about the game of baseball. For the most part, it's a day-to-day game. It always has been. It always will be. Things can happen. And if you don't believe that, just ask Wally Pill.
Bad time to get a headache for Wally.
Wally was first baseman for New York Yankees. Said he didn't feel good. They put Lou Gehrig in.
Bye-bye, Wally.
Wally, he gone.
He was gone for a long time. Like Wally might have been collecting retirement when Lou's streak in.
That's out of play. So they count 2-1. But you never know. Hypothetical situation. Rodon goes to Winston-Salem. They say he's been throwing enough to. Won't take him too long to get back in shape.
No, they're gonna put him on a 5-day situation without any stipulation as to how many innings he's gonna
But
throw.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about a hypothetical. It's where he gets in pretty good shape. He starts scoring good. Our club starts winning a lot of these close games that we're losing. The bullpen is still low. Now we don't exactly know who we are, but our club, we know who we're not, more so than who we are. And we know we don't have a good strong bullpen, but you never know. That's a situation. Carlos Rodon, with his ability, I think I mentioned to you that I had a conversation with you. That's going to get the job done. That a boy, Adrian. Dickerson's not going to get that. So Alejandro, he's into third. Ball gets away. Now he's going to hold there as Nieto will pull up on that double, and it's 1-0 Sox.
Adrian's done a terrific job. Now he doesn't get a chance to play all that often, and so it's pretty difficult to keep your defensive timing and very difficult to keep your offensive timing. But
he's getting better and better.
He drives that ball over Dickerson's head. I think we probably will see, and I'm not sure exactly when, we probably will see at one point in the not too distant future Adrian Nieto will be an everyday catcher in the major leagues, because you're seeing a guy maturing in front of your very eyes, a guy who had only A-ball experience coming into this year.
He is getting better and better. As Leary with a good swing at that, fouls it back. And one thing you got to remember about Adrian too, in his games, he has been facing some very tough right-handed pitching.
Well, there's no doubt that when you take a look at this starting rotation, Kluber is the best they've got. As you go 19 starts with an ERA of 2.86 in this league, you're doing a pretty good job.
There's a softly hit. Now they're just going to look. Good jump right there by Diaz. He scores, and it's a 2-0 lead. Well, in my opinion, you can run Corey Kluber out there against anybody. He's one of the best in baseball, one of the best right-handers in the game.
He gets everything over the plate, and everything he throws moves. Now, that being said, nice base running by Diaza, because he didn't hesitate. He saw how softly that ball was hit, and Santana was thinking about coming home but realized he had no play.
Now this would be a big pickup right here if Adam can get near to home. And that hit him, so he's not going to be able to score.
He threw a slider. It got him right off the ankle, and hopefully he's going to be okay as Kluber hits only his 4th man of the year. And for Eaton, a painful way to get aboard. He's hit for only the 4th time all year. And they're going to take a look at him because that one hit all bone. Didn't hit any meat down there. Who hit you the hardest you can remember, where you just said, this one hurts?
Yeah. The way you pose that, nobody.
They didn't. You didn't.
I got hit in the head twice, and maybe it's just me. But it didn't hurt at all. I went to first base. And, you know, it just you know, it's like some catchers, you know, they're like an agent who's immune to pain, so to speak. I got hit. I didn't get hit much. But when I did, I mean, I don't ever recall getting hit where I said, boy, that hurt.
You never call one off the elbow?
No.
Really? Wow.
I think Joe Sparmer hit me in the hand. I think that's probably the worst. But
you stood right on top of the plate. So. Yeah.
Well, guys usually stand on top of the plate, don't get hit. Because you're bailing.
I did that without standing on top of the plate. I was really bailing.
If you stand on top of the plate, you got to bail. So here's Alexei. He's single. Single right back to the middle last inning.
It's been an unusually long inning for Kluber.
Well, you know, the guys that stand off the plate and dive, those are the ones that actually hit themselves a lot. Those guys are going to get hit a lot more than guys that stand close to the plate. Kluber, big man, 6'4", 210 out of Jacksonville, Florida. Count hangs at 0-2.
What's unusual about Kluber is that he throws both a slider and a cutter. And the way you can tell the difference is that slider, it almost breaks as big as a curveball, but it will go down, and the cutter will move straight across.
Rick Manning and Underwood, a couple of their television announcers. Rick said Kluber's just been a sensation.
Well, and you look at the walk to strikeout ratio, it's among the best in baseball.
Coming in 137 strikeouts, 30 walks. Only thrown, as you mentioned, 9 home runs and 127 innings.
It's about 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's close to 5-to-1. That's getting it done.
That ball hit right at him. That's a hang wolfing for Alexei. He just looks over at our dugout because he knew it was going to be caught. But we put a pair on the board after 1.5. It's 2-0 good guys.
Later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
And that applause you hear, they just put a big picture of LeBron James up on that board saying welcome home. And I'll tell you, I'm so happy to see that happen. I love for guys who have the opportunity to play in their hometown when you're as great as he is. You know, a lot of guys can't play in their hometown. He can play anywhere. But it's going to be great for the city, and also the GOP convention is going to be here.
Yeah, that's going to be here in 16, and LeBron James is going to be here pretty soon. He's from just down the road in Akron, Ohio, and this city was absolutely ablaze today when it became official. It had been speculated for a couple of days, but it became official today, and it's been really something here.
Well, you know you're going to the playoffs.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah. So here's Santana. Carlos hitting it 208, 14 homers, 36 knocked in. Takes first pitch strike. 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors for our guys. No runs, 1 hit, no errors for their guys here in the bottom of the second if you're just joining us. That's foul back and souvenir time.
Santana, a switch hitter. He's been a better hitter average-wise, right-handed. But he's really started to hit the ball for power left-handed. 10 of his 14 home runs is a left-hand hitter, even though he's hitting just 181.
He gone.
Menard's pitch tracks, and that ball is the top of the zone. And Santana, who is a good low ball hitter, not a great high ball hitter, swings through it.
And here comes a young man that seemingly has somewhat figured it out. And to no surprise to a lot of us, this guy, he's just 25 years old. He's hitting .324 now, 9 homers and 40 knocked in. But he's always been a guy that everybody, not everybody, most people thought was really going to be a good one.
He's got a good stroke, and he just kept bouncing up and down.
There's a caught. Beautiful catch by Alejandro. That's a hang Wolfham for Chisenhall. You know, the last, 10 days, he has really been playing some defense.
Alejandro has made some great plays. Not good plays, great plays. And this is a sinking line drive. And he made some good plays in a very tough place to play, Boston, with that wall behind him. He made some plays down the line, which was very difficult. And he must be working at it because he's gotten substantially better with the glove.
Well, he started off terrible.
Yes, he did.
And you mentioned Boston. He had plenty of opportunities out there, and he did not make a bad play. Because you can make some bad plays out there.
You can get trapped too close to the wall. That ball can bounce by almost all the way to the infield.
Here's Swisher. Takes a strike. Swish at 202, 7 homers, 34 knocked in.
Swisher's having some big problems with the glove, and that's unusual for him. He's got 9 errors at first base. And normally he's a good first baseman, but they can't figure out just exactly what's going on. That's one of the reasons why he's a DH tonight.
Without seeing it, I would lay you 2 to 1. 2 dozen golf balls to a dozen. As there's a shot base hit over the shift. But I'd lay you 2 dozen golf balls to a dozen that he's not getting as low as he used to.
I was about to tell you that has been the problem. He's letting some balls get between his legs, letting the ball go by him on either side.
Yeah, that's being a stand-up first base.
And you can't, well, I mean, you've been talking about that at third base for a long time with Conor Gillespie. Same thing holds true on the other side of the diamond, and that's been the big problem with Swisher.
Well, Conor's been throwing some leather. Almost every great play or sensational play that Conor's made, look where his head is. It's close to the ground. So here's Murphy at 242. That's when guys go into defensive slumps. And sometimes there are a couple of reasons for it. So sometimes it's their hitting that will take it there. They're out there and they're taking they're hitting out to the field with it.
I think that's part of it too, because the average has slowly started to sink.
So that's usually the main problem. And then the next problem is a lot of times you just get lazy. Guys just get lazy. I mean, they don't even know it. They just get lazy out there. They're not going out there purposely being lazy. As he can't get that one.
Well, it might be another factor too. You've always said that everything is contagious, that this game, every aspect of this game is contagious, and this Indians team has been playing so poorly defensively that seemingly, especially in the infield has been for them just horrific. It could very well be that he's caught up in it, because he usually plays an excellent first base.
Well, Stevie, I'll tell you, that might even be number one right there. Everything in this game is contagious.
Well, you got Cabrera with 14 errors and Chisenhall with 13 and Gomes with 11.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw that.
And Nick with 9.
That ball hit hard in the right center field. And we got ourselves a 2-2 tie.
Sixth home run, RBIs 43 and 44 for David Murphy. And Ford home run replay. That ball was up in the zone, and Murphy got just about every bit of it. Line drive home run. One of the reasons why they got Murphy here, he's a lifetime 365 hitter at Progressive Field.
Well, we talked since day one that we played him. This is the 11th game. What a tremendous pickup that was for him. No question about it. He's a journeyman player who just gets his job done.
I was talking with Ryan Rayburn, and it's nice to see Ryan Rayburn not playing when we come to town, because Ryan Rayburn, now playing against all of the left-handers, has just tormented our pitching staff.
Well, here it is, July 11th. And if you told Francona on July 11th that David Murphy is going to be leading your club in RBIs, his response would have been, well, we're going to be in trouble.
We're going to be in last place and have a very bad year.
Yeah. Gomes, 11 homers, 33 knocked in. And Chisenhall coming out of nowhere. Of course, Brantley is leading the club with 62 RBIs. He's the man on this ball club. As he gone, but the 2-run homer by Murphy. And we're tied at 2. Monday, July 21st. Now, the first 1,000 fans to purchase tickets will receive a White Sox ugly Christmas T-shirt. Also, there will be holiday drinks for adults at the Comcast Xfinity Zone and Miller Lite Bullpen Sports Bar. So tickets start at $15 for lower level seats. So purchase WhiteSox.com/Xmas. 2-2 tie, third inning. It'll be Abreu, Dunn, and Viciedo will face the 6'4" right-hander Corey Kluber. Abreu hit a little soft fly ball to right field his first trip. One way inside, next one way outside. 2-0. And there's a strike.
This one you would think at 3-1 he would stay away from Jose. We'll look in and see where Gomes goes, and that's a slider away.
And there's a base hit.
Jose is one smart hitter because
yes, he is.
That ball was a perfect pitcher's pitch.
Yes, he is. You know, that's, you never, when you see a guy, you got to see him for an extended period of time to determine if, in your opinion, he's a smart hitter or he's just a talented guy. Well, the first thing is we talked about in spring training that impressed us was the way he could take the inside pitch, hit it hard, and keep it fair.
Wasn't supposed to be able to do that,
exactly,
if you recall.
Right. Exactly.
He wasn't supposed to be able to do that.
But now we've been watching him. You know, here it is, July 11th. He makes adjustments from pitch to pitch sometimes at the plate. You can see him with his approach.
But there's no doubt that he was looking away. If he got one inside, well, probably had taken it.
Yeah, he's talking with some scouts in Boston. And one of them asked me, he said, did you know he was going to be this good? And I said, your what hurts? I said, no way.
Well, I think a lot of scouts and a lot of people felt, okay, he's going to be a slugger. He's going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's going to be a slugger, and you know he's going to hit his 250, 255, maybe 260. But I don't think people gave him credit for how smart a hitter he really is, because he does look for pitches. He looks in spots, and if he gets them, you're in trouble.
And you can tell when you're sitting at home watching on television, you can tell if you don't watch the ball when the pitcher throws it, if you watch him and watch his approach to the pitch, you can see what he was trying to do with that pitch or where he was thinking. Like you just said, he was looking away there. That's the reason he didn't swing hard. A lot of guys can look away and they swing from their arse, you know.
That's a ground ball to shortstop.
Yeah. And Adam can't get it. He grounded out to the shift. The short right field is first at bat. But when I watch a baseball game, I don't watch the ball. I watch the hitter. And he'll tell you what kind of stuff that pitcher's got. And he'll tell you with that when it's going to be a changeup.
That one had Adam well out in front of it. And that's how you can get a good low ball hitter to miss. Just go lower than a low ball hitter likes it.
Lower and slower.
Lower and slower. Get him out front and get him out.
Grab some bench. As here's Tank. He struck out as he takes that quick breaker.
Career against Kluber, pretty good for Viciedo, actually. When you're up close to 300 against one of the league's best right-handers and you're a right-hand hitter, you're doing okay. What a play by Moises Sierra. That was, yeah, it was me. That's right. I did it. Yep.
Those two guys right there, Moises and Quintana, they're always smiling, they're always laughing.
That ball hit off the screen of the dugout. Moises just put up his right hand and caught it. Stopped it from going down in the outfield.
Got him. He knew it. 2 down.
This will be one of the plays of the night. Boom. There you go. Easy. Yeah, that's easy.
So here's Gillespie. He started off that 2-run second with a 1-out double right down the first base line. Well, the attitude on this ball club this year is 180 degrees from the one we had last year.
Last year was just a very, very disappointing season all the way around. And this year it hasn't been great, but it's been so much better. And he had younger players. You got some young guys who can play, young guys learning how to do it, and a lot of energy on this team that was not here last year.
And they have rejuvenated our veterans. That's one of the few ways you can rejuvenate your veterans is by bringing in, we talked about in spring training, young blood.
Connor Gillespie, the last 9 games, including 1 at bat tonight, hitting .440. I think the surprising thing is the 4 home runs, not the 8 driven in, and not the 10 scored. But he's starting to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, there's 3 home runs at Fenway. 1 was in the center field bleachers, and the other 2 were around pesky pole, right down the line. Just line shots.
That's what's made him 320 plus hitter, is the fact that he is a line drive hitter.
Well, he can hit.
Yes, some of the line drives will go out of the park.
And there is ball 4. First walk issued by Kluber. That'll bring up Alejandro. A little duck snort out there in the right field for a base hit. Yeah, it is fun coming to the ballpark.
I would think for some of the folks who have not had a chance to see Adam Eaton and Jose Abreu play, those are the 2 big additions to the team from last year. They're really worth the price of admission.
Adam Eaton to me is becoming my favorite player on the team. I mean, I love to watch that young man.
He's been terrific because he can turn around a game with his glove in center field, and he has.
That's exactly right. Those catches he made at Fenway, they make them all year long. He's playing center, right center, and left center, and he is just catching every. He's like Pac-Man out there.
How about the whole Seattle series?
Oh yeah,
he was terrific with that.
He's eating up everything white that comes out there. There's a shot, just foul. Well, if it was going to be fair, we would have caught it.
Santana was pretty close to the line, and that one hooked right by him. This is a catch he made against David Ortiz yesterday, and Big Papi kept getting robbed. And this one was highway robbery. He goes out and avoids Moises Sierra, who almost takes his head off. But the slide after running it down, and even Big Papi says, "You got me again." Boy, am I going to be happy when you leave town.
Now that's having fun on a baseball field on both sides, even though Big Papi got robbed. Only 2 guys, as I mentioned yesterday, only 2 guys that would laugh and give him an ovation on that play were Big Papi and Miguel Cabrera. They have fun on that baseball field.
Well, the night before, Papi had hit 800 feet of fly ball into that Bermuda Triangle in right center field. He crushed the ball, and that one should have been a 2-base hit, maybe a 3-base hit.
Two. Don't get it overextended now. With Big Papi running.
Well, he's got deceptive speed.
Yeah, very deceptive. Very deceptive. We could sure use a hit right here, but he's down in the count, a ball and 2 strikes. Foul tip hung on to by Yan Gomes, and that'll retire the side to have a mild threat. Can't score. Go to the bottom of the 3rd, still tied at 2. To the ballpark, decked out in white and blue, Greek flags, or even traditional Greek costumes for Greek Heritage Night on Tuesday, July 22nd. Our Sox are offering specially priced tickets to everyone with Greek heritage, their family, and friends. And tickets start at just $10. $10 for lower level seats. So to purchase, visit whitesox.com/GHN. Newly acquired Chris Dickerson coming over from the Pirates. All he's done is go 7 for 15.
Well, surprisingly, he was in the minor league system, and he's come up and been red hot.
32 years old, so
he's with Cincinnati, Milwaukee, the Yankees, Baltimore, and a Pittsburgh organization.
Well, he's a big guy. He's 6'4".
Those are the career numbers. 15 lifetime home runs.
That's should be a can of corn. Nice pitch on the fist. Now the Tribe goes back to the top of the order with Kipnis.
They had some fun with Kipnis before the game. One of his teammates got some orange construction worker colored shirts, and it said something along the lines of, "Don't worry, we'll fix that," because after Jason Kipnis has a batted bat, he goes in and tears up a few things in the dugout. So his teammates decided that they would wear the construction look before the game. Probably was about 10 of them out there with those.
I saw this. I was wondering why they were wearing them.
They were wearing them as
well, there's nothing wrong with that, really, if you're in the major leagues or you can afford it.
It's true.
Well, you know, I'll tell you not 1 year, a couple of years. I'll bet you that I spent between 5 and 10% of my salary on replacing TV sets and telephones and light fixtures.
In the dugout in the locker room?
And in the locker room, yeah. There have been several times at Fenway when I broke out every light and won that from the runway back up to the clubhouse. Here's Cabrera. He singled. Clubhouse guy in the Orlando said, "Be my guest, but you're going to pay for it."
Well, in the case of you in those days and Jason Kipnis today, you could afford it.
I'll tell you, I like guys to play with an edge. I know a lot of parents out there saying, you shouldn't be saying that because of the kids. But I like guys that play with an edge. We had one on our club for a long time that he was so much better when he had an edge on. And it just so happens he's going into Cooperstown in a couple of weeks.
And that's
Big
Big
Frank.
Frank.
I said, "You're better hitter when you got an edge on."
Big Frank?
Yeah.
Hard to believe there was a time Big Frank wasn't a great hitter.
Well, when he'd go in a funk sometimes, he got first reason was when he was trying to do too much. Trying to pick up everybody else in the club and put them on his shoulders and carry them when they weren't hitting. He'd go into a funk. And there is ball 4 to Cabrera, so that's the first walk issued. But other times he loses his edge a little bit. So here is Brantley. He hit into a 4-6-3 double play.
Brantley's career high in home runs. Last year, 10. That's in 151 games. He's already, as you can see, got 14.
Well, he's the kind of guy that he's going to hit. Before he's done, he's going to hit 25 or 30.
Most runs he's ever driven in was 73.
And he's already got 62. Watch the slick double play here starting by.
Get Brantley to ground to a double play with his speed. It's got to be slick, especially when a second baseman goes to his left.
He gave Alexei absolute perfect feed. High over his left shoulder. Yeah, but he's just getting better and better. In fact, he might even hit 25 this year. What happens with he's not overly strong. Brantley's not. But you don't have to be strong to be a home run hitter. The great Al Kaline, Hall of Famer from the Tigers, hit 399 home runs in his career and never hit 30 in a year.
That's pretty amazing.
He was a finesse hitter. Don Mattingly hit 40 home runs a couple of times. He was not strong. Finesse hitter, 2-0-3-1. He was a count home run hitter. They flip him out of the ballpark.
Well, this is a terrific park to hit. And it doesn't matter if you take it to left or left center. But you got a low wall in right field. And it's only 325 down the line.
Well, the guy who still holds the all-time home run record for me, Hank Aaron. To me, that's the all-time home run record. There were a ton of guys stronger than Bad Henry. A ton of guys. He wasn't a strong guy.
No, he was a line drive hitter whose line drives went out of the park.
Yeah, but not like Frank Howard. I mean Thomas or Frank Howard. Finesse. Great mistake hitters.
Brantley is close to the plate. That ball didn't miss by much. And it went Brantley's way.
Two out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Got a decent lead over there.
As Drubel 6 of 8 in stolen bases. This team 53 and 13 in stolen bases. It's a pretty good percentage team-wise. It was led by Kipnis, who's 13 of 14.
And we're 53 and 20. So we have a nice percentage as well. As that ball ends right field, right at Tank. Almost in his footprints right there. So that'll retire us out. We'll go to the fourth, 2-2.
And it centers around Corey Kluber. Since May 4th, when he pitched against our Sox, he's 6-3 with an ERA .233. On his batting average .223. And as you can see, a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. And that is pretty good.
Well, considering they're the worst defensive team in the league,
that's even better.
Unbelievable. He is a star. There's no question about it. Corey has come into his own as one of the best pitchers in the game. Certainly one of the best right-handers in the game. So here's Nieto. Adrian with an RBI double. Into left field. This young man just been fun to watch him too in spring training. Mark Parent took him under his wing and they talked. Also Tyler Flowers been helping Nieto. He's just getting better and better. He's a nice young man who works his behind off. That ball hit hard into the gap, and nobody's going to get that one, so he's going to pick up his fifth double. No, now he slips down and around pulling up. He was going to pull up anyway.
That was a very nice play by Dickerson in left field, because it looked like that ball was going to the wall. As Adrian gets a fastball right down the middle. Kluber made a mistake, and Dickerson able to flag it down, get it back in, and save a base.
Boy, there's a bad hop for Adrian. That ball hitting that turf out there and just stuck almost, popped straight up. So here's Leury. He had an RBI. Hit a little ground ball. Diaz had a good base running play and scored from third. Takes a strike. Now how about this? 100 years ago today.
Yes.
July 11th, 100 years ago, Babe Ruth made his major league debut with the Boston Red Sox as a pitcher. And the kicker is, after 7 innings, he was lifted for a pinch hitter.
Well, sure, because he was a pitcher.
Who was the manager there? They should have fired him.
Well, probably he couldn't see into the future all that far. We would realize that was not the move to make.
There's a little shank. And Adrian didn't know if he was going to catch it in the air, so he had to hold up. They are able to get the force at second.
No, Adrian's trapped. There's not a base runner in the world that can make anything out of this one because you don't want to run into a double play. And this could have easily been caught, but Chisenhall, realizing that whether it's Nieto or anybody else, he's not going to be anywhere near second.
So good speed aboard. Leury is 8 for 9 in stolen bases. Adam is grounded to short, and then he was hit in the ankle by a pitch.
A lot of people don't realize that for a long time Babe Ruth had the record for consecutive scoreless innings pitched in the World Series.
Yeah. I think
Whitey Ford broke it. It was a stereo. Whitey Ford broke it.
There's a strike. Yeah. I hit against Whitey. Whitey was.
I thought you were going to say you hit against Babe.
No, I just missed him. He died in 48. 1948. I remember the day he died. I cried. I was out riding my bicycle in Woodruff, South Carolina.
Did you get it on your iPhone?
6 years old, and my mom came to the front porch and called me over and said, Babe Ruth just died. And I remember I started crying.
At the age of 6, you know how important Babe Ruth was to baseball?
No, I just, for some reason, I had just gotten to where I came up from. Woodruff was a real good sports town. In fact, a small town, they used to win. They were perennial state champs in football, and very sports minded, And so they had us at an early age talking, sports. And I knew who Babe Ruth was. And I knew what he did at 6 years old. Two and one with 1 out. 2-6-0 for us, 2-3-0 for them. First of this 3-game set. That ball hit hard into the gap. Yes, you won't get that one. And Leury reading it perfectly. Now here's the throw to the plate. Save. Sox lead at 3-2 on a double by Adam Eaton. And a beautiful read by Leury Garcia.
RBI number 25 for Adam. And this time Dickerson can't get to it. He makes the effort, but Brantley has to go back him up. Makes a very good relay throw, and right here when Leury realizes nobody's going to get it, he just turns it on. He's very fast, and now Kluber might have hurt himself.
That was a beautiful read by Garcia. It's fun to see speed in this game. That's where this game's going, speed.
15th double, and they're going to take a look and let Kluber throw a few pitches and see if indeed he can continue.
For Adam, that was his. 1 for 2 in this, and he does. Adam hits. He's like Abreu. He hits good pitchers well. Adam yesterday with a couple of hits off John Lester.
He's going back to cover and then slips on the grass, and they want to see if that knee or the groin was okay.
Yeah. That's a good way to pull it right there. Pick him up, Alexi. Alexi's 1 for 2 last time up, hit a bullet right at Brantley in center.
Now the reason why you saw Kluber kind of floating, that's what pitchers have to do when they're not sure if that throw's coming into third base or it's coming into home plate, and that is little float between third and home, and then he had to back up home in a hurry.
Breaking ball, and very quickly 0-2 the count.
And Adam doing what every guy should do, and that is checking where the outfielders are, and that is a sign of not only a good base runner but a heads-up baseball player.
Two down. 5 strikeouts now for Kluber.
That good hard slider, and he has Alexi well out in front of it.
Well, we said up front, you're not going to beat him on his breaking stuff. You got to beat him. You got to cover his fastball. You got to cover the fastball.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what he does here with first base open, and our most prolific run producer.
That's not what he was looking for. First ball fastball strike.
Especially one that was up.
Where you can get you anywhere. He can get you up, down, in, out. No mistake. But if you make, we've said, if you make a decent pitch on him, you get it.
And 300 with runners in scoring position. What's impressive is the 9 home runs with runners in scoring position.
And that's a fair ball. Chisholm home. Throws him out. All right. We come up with one on the RBI double by Adam Eaton. We lead it 3-2.
And photo for a chance to have it shown on our broadcast later in the game, and brought to you by AT&T. And Jose trying to beat this one out and had a shot at it. It looks like he pulls up a little bit, hitting the bag hard, and
he got the heel on the edge.
Yep. Looks like he hurt that left ankle a touch, but he's still in the game.
Last thing you want to get a bone bruise, and that's how you get it exactly. You hit the front edge of that bag with your heel. It's okay to hit the front edge of that bag with your toes, but not the heel. It's a 3-2 good guy lead here. 3-7-0 for us, 2-3-0 for them. Santana, Chisenhall, and Swisher. Back to the Babe Ruth thing, 100 years ago today, he made his major league debut with the Red Sox as a 19-year-old left-handed pitcher. And in his career as a pitcher,
he was terrific.
His ERA was 2.28, which is significantly lower than the average major league pitcher who is in the Hall of Fame. The average there is 2.99. Didn't want to do that. Santana, who struck out his first, the dreaded leadoff walk. Second walk issued by Noesi.
Well, it was just highway robbery last time Chisenhall was up. Alejandro made a spectacular catch in left field. And surprisingly, Chisenhall, in 254 at bats, has only grounded into 2 double plays.
Well, just watching his change in his setup at the plate, he's taken the page out of Michael Brantley's book, using Michael's setup. And that happens so often on the team. You're playing with a guy who's having a lot of success, and you're struggling as there's a base hit. So that leadoff walk's got him in trouble. 2 on, nobody out. And that'll bring up Swisher.
Now Adrian goes to the mound. He wants to talk with Hector about how they want to work Swisher. Swisher is one of their huge strikeout men. 83 of them. 268 at bats.
Well, you don't want Swisher to beat you on a fastball. You want him to hurt you on an off-speed pitch, preferably down and in with the breaking stuff, or the straight change down and away.
Despite the fact he's a natural right-hand hitter, he's hitting a whole lot better left-handed than right-handed.
That change up with 87. Slipped a little bit on that one, and the count 2-0. He's fixing a little landing area there for himself. It's a blue play special here for a hitter. 2 on, nobody out. He got it and couldn't do anything with it. He was all over it. Had the barrel on it.
Well, if Nick is swinging well, he's going to do some damage with this one because it was on the outer third, just below the letters.
That's wheelhouse.
Very hittable.
That goes back to the blue plate special again. 3-1. Certainly the right size and fortunately the wrong shape.
Nick's got plenty of power from the left side. He's actually a dead pull hitter from both sides of the plate, and this one he knows he got every bit of, but fortunately hook foul.
And there is the changeup. Big out right there. Well, he had two absolutely specials up there, the 2-0 and the 3-1.
Good changeup, good late movement, and Swisher absolutely beside himself because he had the pitches, just not that one.
Yeah, when you go up there, you have a 2-0 and you get a fastball and you take it, and then you get a 3-1 and you kill it. Way foul, and then you strike out on the changeup. You deserve a strike.
That's usually a sign of a guy that just is not swinging the bat real well and has lost a lot of confidence.
Exactly right. Boy, he got in a good position right there. Got in position to make a quick throw to second base, so they get Chisenhall 2 down.
Murphy hit a 2-run homer last time up. This time grounds into a force.
That'll bring up Yan Gomes, who struck out. I tell you, the more we see Abreu play first base, the better he gets.
Well, Rick Manning, who has been here a long time, was a former center fielder with the Indians and now is the analyst on television, was asking me about his defense. I said, well, it's almost like his offense in that we were told there was a lot of things he couldn't do. And we're finding that that's not true. We're finding that he can do a lot of the things that we were told he couldn't do.
Well, to put it crudely, it was a bald-faced lie. Or whoever told us that, can you remember what it was? I can't.
I mean, but that was the scouting report generally on him, was that he can't handle the ball inside and he can be a liability at first base. Well, you know, what they were saying was you could tolerate his first base play because he was going to hit the ball out of the park.
It wasn't one of our guys. It was another scouts that told us that. And it certainly wasn't Kenny Williams, because he's the one that he signed him for $68 million.
He loved everything he did.
And I'll guarantee you're not going to sign a guy who's never played in the big leagues, who cannot cover an inside fastball for $68 million. And Kenny was absolutely ecstatic over Jose Abreu. Runners at the corners, 2 out. Nieto kept it in the area.
This one saves a run. That ball bounced well in front of the plate. That was a tough one to block. And he made sure that the force out stayed in order at second base. And just as importantly, Santana didn't score.
Three and one.
Gomes has got some power.
He can take you out anywhere.
Can. And there's Dickerson in the on-deck circle in case Gomes can keep it alive. Murphy not known for his great base stealing ability, just 2 for 4 in stolen bases this year.
A full count to the 26-year-old catcher. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors for our guys. 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors for their guys. And that's ball 4. That'll load him up.
Looking for another straight change. Same pitch that he threw to Swisher on 3-2, but this time he threw it in the dirt. Keeps it alive for Dickerson, who is here because Michael Bourne went on the disabled list, and he's going to be lost a while. So Don Cooper comes out now to the mound. As you look at not exceptionally good speed on the base paths for the Tribe.
And Dickerson, who was 0 for 1, he went out to left field, but coming into this ball game, he was 7 for 15 since joining Cleveland. So Coop has his say. Always a big pitch. First pitch in the sequence. And it goes Dickerson's way. 1-0.
That one almost hit him. This is one where for a fleeting instant you think about taking it for the team. And you start to realize it's 95 miles an hour and you think better of it.
Well, Noessy's problems when he's had them haven't been controlled. Three and 0.
This is one of those times you pretty much know that he's not going to be swinging 3-0.
If he is, you got to scoop.
If he is, he's probably going back to the minor leagues.
Third walk of the inning. So the leadoff walk will score, and the game is tied at 3.
First run batted in since being called to the major leagues this year. Now you got to deal with perennial Sox killer Jason Kipnis.
Throws him out. So 3 walks in the inning. They score 1, and we're tied at 3.
for the Sox as he looks to build off his strong start versus Boston. Coverage starts at 1:30 with the White Sox pregame live presented by Lexus of Orland. White Sox Indians tomorrow at 1:30 on Comcast Sportsnet.
Top of the 5th inning in a 3-3 tie. Dunn, Viciedo, Gillespie. Adam was grounded to second and struck out. Corey Kluber. One and 0 the count. Those 4 walks so far tonight give us 348.
Pretty amazing.
And coming in to today's action, the Mets were in second place, and we led them by 30. That ball hit high and deep into center field. Brantley back on his track. He's there, jumps, and cannot make it. You can put it on the board. Yes! High towering drive, and the Sox lead it 4-3. His 100th home run in a White Sox uniform.
454th overall. So the 10th home run. As our 4th home run replay. Just the 10th of the year given up by Kluber. Brantley goes up, but just a little too far for him.
As that has popped up, Tanks got a good pitch to hit and couldn't square it up. So 1 out. And of course, with that home run by Dunn, Alex Nellius family and White Sox cheers. We'll hook up in loving memory of Ursula. So here's Gillespie. He has double scored and walked.
97 home runs. Jays, Orioles, Astros, and Angels with a few more.
Breaking ball strike.
When Kluber faced our ball club at the beginning of May, he fanned 13. Got a no decision in that one. He does not have even close to the same stuff here tonight.
No, it does not look like it. His fastball, for some reason, I mean, it's still at least going pretty hard, but it just looks different.
Just doesn't have the same movement that he usually has. And this is his 20th start.
Yeah, when he struck out 13 of us, I mean, we had no chance. Two balls, 2 strikes. That curveball's low. Three hopper. Oops. He's going to get the skirt down. 2 down. And Sox fans celebrate a special birthday or anniversary or even host a business function in a Diamond Suite at a White Sox game. Diamond Suites can accommodate groups from 10 to 100 guests. Single game packages include a great food menu as well as beverages and parking passes. So to purchase, visit whitesox.com/suites. Piazza has singled, scored, and struck out. Breaking ball strike. 4-8-0 for us. 3-4-0 for them. And there's a foul ball, just foul.
I'm not sure you've heard this happen too often, but Masahiro Tanaka issued a statement. He said he wanted to apologize to the Yankee organization, his teammates, and the fans for not being able to help during this time. He's out with an elbow injury. He's going to be out a couple of weeks. He says, but the most important thing is to rehab, and he's going to come back and devote all of his energies to helping the organization, which is certainly a cultural difference.
Yes. That pitch just misses.
And in his rookie year, Tanaka 12-4 with an ERA of 2.51. He made the All-Star team, but of course he won't be able to participate.
Bottom of the fifth in Baltimore. Yankees and the Orioles are tied at 2. There's a breaking ball, just chops it. Kipnis, but the home run by Adam Dunn. We're halfway home, leading 4-3. Certainly great news for the Clevelanders. Also picking up the GOP National Convention. So good things happening. As that pitch to Cabrera fouled back. Cabrera has singled and he has walked. There's a bunt. That's a good bunt.
There's no reason to throw that one. As soon as that one stayed on the grass, you had no chance at all. And the only thing that can happen is making it worse. Great bunt. So the perfect night of Asdrubal Cabrera continues.
That'll bring up Michael Brantley, who was 0 for 2. He's hit into a 4, hit a hard shot. Beautiful play of start of the double play by Leury Garcia, who's playing second tonight. And then he went out softly to right field. He has been red hot. Cabrera, good lead. And he takes the bunt, takes the ball. After 2 in Kansas City, Tigers and the Royals are tied at 1. Shanks that one foul.
Both of these teams almost identical record in the division. Indians 16 and 18. And our Sox 16 and 19.
Well, this is the 11th meeting between these two clubs. In the first 10, we had won 7 of those.
A radical departure from last year.
Don't.
That was fair to partly awful.
Well, I've never seen anything like that. 2 and 16.
17.
2 and 17 rather. 19 games. 2 and 17. I've never seen anything like that.
Everything that could possibly go wrong and then some went wrong.
Line shot. It's a hang Wolfen for Brandon. So twice he has rocketed it right to Leury.
One of the hottest hitters on their ball club gets a change up. It's out away. He tries to pull it. And he pulls it right at Garcia.
That'll be 1 out to Santana. Carlos has struck out, and then he walked to lead off last inning and came around to score when Wesley walked 3 guys last inning. Just tuning in, just 1 home run by Adam Dunn. Leading off the top of this, bottom of the 4th. Check that, top of the 5th. There's a strike. Just looking at this.
Andre Rienzo throwing in the pen.
As I mentioned earlier, Cubs beat Atlanta 5-4. Arrieta once again a strong outing, 7 2/3, just 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. He's got an ERA now at 1.95. He's always had the stuff.
And coming up with Baltimore, you could tell he had the stuff. The question was, would he stay healthy and would he be able to harness it? And both the answers are yes this year.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. We're at the bottom of the 5th inning. First of 3. Scott Carroll against Zach McAllister tomorrow afternoon in that game right here on Comcast Sportsnet, and the finale of this 3-game set and this 7-game road trip before the All-Star break. Johnny Danks against Trevor Bauer in that game over WGN. He gone. Pull a string on him. Good changeup, good motion.
That's been the best pitch tonight for Hector. That straight change. And Santana goes down for the 2nd time.
Here's Lonnie Chisenhall. He's hit it hard twice. Once a beautiful catch by Diaz to rob him of extra bases. And then last inning, a line shot into right field for a single. Now hitting a .325 on the season. Well, he's just absolutely squaring everything up.
Hits that ball awfully hard. Fortunately, gets out ahead of it. Look at a man who last year hit .111 against lefties. And this year getting a chance to play against a lot of the left-handers. Has done a decent job.
There he goes, the runner. He gone. And Cabrera wants a challenge, so here comes Rancona. Dan Iasonia on the call.
And if he does indeed challenge it, this puts Hector in a tough spot. Looked like he might have missed him. We'll have to see. Check this angle. Well, we'll have to see if there's conclusive enough proof.
Well, 25, 35, 40 years ago, he was out. Ball be run around. Not anymore.
And I say it puts Hector in a bad spot because he's just standing there right now, and he doesn't know how long this review is going to last. So, that being said, what he probably would like to do is take a pitch or two, because if in fact, if the call is overturned, he's going to have to get out a tough right-hander in Chisenhall.
That's going to be overturned.
He sweeps in front of him. It looks like he missed him. That being said, we will have to wait. Cabrera was emphatic. I mean, he would have felt the tag had it been there.
Well, Hector ought to be soft tossing with.
Yeah, he should be.
Nieto. See the balls there. Beautiful peg by Nieto. Right on the money.
Right there, there is a pretty good gap between that glove and that spike as the glove moves on through. And he is safe. So Alexi just doesn't keep the glove down there long enough, and the inning will roll along.
That's too bad. Beautiful peg. Plenty of time.
And a pretty quick 132.
Well, it should have been.
It should have been, yes. And it was.
We actually had a play earlier that was easier than that one, and it took over 6 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that was kind of surprising.
And a reminder, Sox fans, Friday, July 18th, well, that is Rat Pack night. Come see our Sox take on the Astros at 7:10, and all fans are invited to stay for a post-game fireworks show presented by all the great folks at Beggar's Pizza. Beggar's Pizza. So purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAM.
Don Cooper just went out there, and one of the reasons why you talked to Hector in this situation is he thought he was out of the inning, so he was coming off. In his mind, he's out of the inning, no problem. He's got the lead. Well, he's not out of the inning, and he wants to get his concentration back on Chisenhall.
And it's going to cost us a while. I don't know. Adam. Here's a throw. Game is tied at 4.
Well, another factor was that Hector was not in proper position to back up. You can't get too close to the catcher because you got no chance to stop anything that gets by him. So it is single RBI E8. It's RBI number 41. And that changeup winds up in center field. So here comes the throw. And it gets by Adrian, and you see Hector is in back of the umpire with no chance. You got to get in line with the throw and be far enough back to make the play. As it turns out, Chisenhall goes to second base.
Here's Swisher. He's 1 for 2 with a run scored. Checks it up, takes strike 1. Well, the Indians this year are 10 for 20 on challenges.
Tito is challenging 500.
And that ball deep in the center field. And that missed tag at second base has just cost us 3 runs, and we trail it 6-4.
8th home run, RBIs 35 and 36. And Nick Swisher got just about every bit of this. Our 4th home run replay. Adam thinking he has a shot, but that ball was well out of here.
Well, Hector was out of the inning.
And now he's out of the game.
And he's got these earned runs. There is something that's going to even crowd more for a team error. Plays like that where the ball is there plenty of time. Tag is missed. They score 3 runs. All earned. He departs. And we'll be back. 10,000 kids ages 13 and under will receive a retro White Sox pennant presented by Prairie Farms and North Star Frozen Treats. Prairie Farms and North Star Frozen Treats. So purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Andre Rienzo comes into the ball game on for the 14th time. He's 4-5 ERA, 5.85. And the right-handers, surprisingly, have hit him better than the left-handers. He's had 11 starts this year. He inherits a 2-run deficit in what is becoming a nightmarish fifth.
Well, takes Noesi out from a possible win to a possible loss. Certainly adds 3 undeserved earned runs. Meanwhile, they do pick up a 3-spot and they lead at 6-4.
Presented by GMC. We'll have complete highlights from around the league as baseball nears its mid-season break. And we'll have more reaction as LeBron rejoins the Central Division Cavs. See all that and more on Sportsnet Central tonight after White Sox postgame live only on Comcast Sportsnet.
Next Swisher with a big home run over that center field fence. And they get 3 gift runs right there. A review and an overturn of a call. Out to safe, or else we'd have been out of the inning with the lead. So here's Nieto. He's 2 for 2, an RBI double on the single. Both his hits have been to left field, one in the corner and the other into left center. And that is right at Dickerson. For 1 out.
And the first time that Kluber has been able to retire Nieto, who's had a very good night tonight.
Here's Leary. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI and a run scored. There's a strike and the count evens. Detroit now leading Kansas City 2-1. That's in the third inning.
They came in with a 5.5 game lead over Kansas City.
Two balls and a strike.
And the biggest factor, 7 games in the loss column. John Axford on the right, Mark Zipchinski on the left. They're getting ready in the pen if Kluber struggles at all.
Full count. And there's the one out walk. Good speed aboard.
Don't miss Loop Fest 2014, featuring one of my favorites, Journey and the Steve Miller Band, with special guest Tower of Power. Saturday night at First Midwest Bank Amphitheater in Tinley Park. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. That's Loop Fest 2014.
Back to the top of the order with Adam Eaton, who was grounded to short, was hit by a pitch, and had an RBI double. As I mentioned, Garcia. Eight for 9 in stolen bases. Shoots that one hard but foul down the left field way.
This will probably be a good battle because Gomes throws well, and after the early season problems, and he had a bunch of them, 9 early errors, he's gone down 10 of the last 13 who have tried to steal. Some very happy fans have a souvenir.
Pitch, no.
Kluber getting very close to the 100 pitch mark. This will be number 99 coming up.
He had 55 through 3.
I was going to say he's had a lot of them under duress also. It has not been a real easy performance for him tonight.
Six, 7-0 for them, 4-8-1 for us.
There you look at the line. Not one of his better ones so far. He's got the lead, far less than his best.
Well, that does not tell the story of this ball game. That line.
No, it does not.
Just did get a piece of that breaking ball.
Good slider, and Adam was able to fight it off.
Tried to backdoor him. And he missed.
On the pitch tracks, and this ball was well off the plate, although a few umpires in the stands thought it was good enough. That was way wide.
Cleveland wanted it.
I don't blame him. I want everything, but that pitch was 6 inches off the outside corner.
I saw you pitch. You wanted anything that was caught by the catcher.
Well, that's what should happen. I mean, the plate's only 17 inches wide. That's not fair.
Anything the catcher caught, you wanted to strike. There he goes. And that's fouled away.
Well, Leary had a tremendous jump as Kluber seemingly forgot about him. He would have stolen this one easily. Adam, who has some very good at bats, some battling at bats. You're going to get him out like just about everybody else in this league. However, you're going to know you were in a battle because he very rarely goes down easily.
There he goes again. And it's fouled off again.
This is going to be the 8th pitch of the at bat coming up, and that's going to push Kluber to throw his 104th pitch.
Well, they tell me for the month of July that bullpen out there has been locked down.
Kluber's season high in pitches is 114. Could very well be that this at bat by Eaton will mean that Kluber probably has thrown his last inning if he makes it through this inning. Got a few guys in that pen that have great arms. Cody Allen has just a tremendous arm.
He's got good stuff. Whew. Man.
And he's turned into the closer, taken over from John Axford.
Set. There he goes. And another foul.
Going to have to give Leary oxygen if this continues. He's trying to keep just about everything away on our Honda pitch tracks.
Like he may have been on the way once again.
He gets back under the tag.
Like Kluber was trying to trick him a little bit right there with that move. Left knee.
If you break it, it's a balk unless you do it quickly enough and nobody sees it.
That's what it looked like he tried to do. And there is a ball into the seats once again for another souvenir. So that'll make him a lot of fans very happy tonight.
Pitch number 10 on the way.
Pretty good lead. Time is called. No pitch.
That'll give Leary a break. If nothing else, he'll be able to catch his breath.
So that'll retire the side. We'll go to the bottom of the sixth, trailing by 2.
With is Drupal Cabrera. He's going to try to steal second. At first he was called out, then it was reversed, and then Chisenhall singles him in. And after the air, Nick Swisher hits a towering home run, his 8th of the year. And the tag that wasn't, and the reverse call led to 3 runs, and Cleveland took the lead.
That's a shame. That is a shame. It is what it is. Gomes, Dickerson, Kipnis. Gomes has struck out and walked.
This yet another matchup of the 2 Brazilians in the major leagues.
Go and 1 to count. Now feel straight up, spaced about equidistant. Hits him on the fist. Jose, watch out. Just out of play, 2-2.
Not much room in foul territory. And gets progressively less, markedly less, as you move down the line. This is a very good hitter's park, and that's one of the reasons.
The count is full. No walks, Andrew. Drops a foul. that shot.
Nice sunset here on a day that Cleveland fans are going to remember, because this was the day that LeBron returned to the Cavaliers.
So the dreaded leadoff walk once again. The first one came around to score. That was in the 4th inning, and that's the 5th walk of the night issued by our guys. Here's Dickerson. He's 0 for 1 with a walk. They come in with the bases loaded.
That was his first run batted in as a member of these Indians after being called back. And there's a forgiven t-shirt.
All right.
And Adrian with a good double effort. The first effort was yelling first base. That was the only play. And the second effort was hustling to third base, which was left uncovered. So good bunt by Dickerson. And watch Adrian. He's yelling first base and running to third.
Yeah, he's all over it.
Yeah, he's going to be I think a very good player before it's over, and he's going to be a two-way player. How many switch hitting catchers do you find, especially guys that can do the things he can do with just A-ball experience?
Very few.
Very few.
It's the first one I've ever seen come from A-ball and make the big league club.
Actually, it's an unbelievable Rule 5 pickup.
So yeah, Rick Hansen's. Rick's had that plan. He stuck to it, and actually the plan is ahead of schedule, because we thought it where you getting in that kind of contract would be good, but I don't think anybody thought he was going to do what he's doing. So Rick's plan is in place, it's working, and it's ahead of schedule.
So you've got fixtures at first, and certainly a fixture leading off and playing center field.
And the count 3-0 to Kipnis. That's going to be a pass ball.
It's going to be another walk, and it could very well be a pass ball, and that's the way it's going to be ruled. That ball just kind of exploded away from Adrian. So you get another walk.
6 walks now issued.
Putting runners at the corners.
We now have on the season 354 walks. Average, what, let me see, roughly about 4 a game. When you average 4 walks a game, you're not going to do very well.
Oh, especially when you figure you're going to average around 10 hits for 9 innings. You're talking about 14 base runners. You factor in an error, 15 base runners. It's tough to get by.
Well, that's the same thing. I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
Curveball strike. Cabrera. Two singles. One of them was a bunt single to start off that 3-run. Then the missed tag was a big play. If you're just tuning in, we'll show it to you a little bit later. This tag has been the big story of this ball game. It would have been out of the inning. It was overruled. And look at this one. Nice play by Leary once again. So he pitches over the leadoff walk, pitches over 2 walks in the inning, gets the double play, and we are into the 7th. left field at U.S. Cellular Field. Now is successful from the 100, the 300, and the 500 levels. And young Sox fans can learn baseball fundamentals from White Sox Training Academy coaches. The space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and baseball skill instruction. And it's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
And we got a new pitcher coming in the game, and it is John Axford. Axford was acquired to be the closer. This is his 41st game, a 2-3 record, a pretty good 3.50 ERA. Successful in 9 of 12 save opportunities, but as a closer, he's given way to Cody Allen, who's been overwhelming with his stuff. But Axford was a very good closer at times with Milwaukee. In fact, 46 saves in his best year in 2011, followed by 35 in 2012, both with the Brewers, splitting time last year between Milwaukee and St. Louis.
Yeah, talking about that Cody Allen, I watched him, well, it was early July. They were out playing the Dodgers. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't watch the ball when I watch a game. I watch the hitters. You see those hitters with some funny moves on the stuff of Cody Allen.
50 strikeouts in 39 2/3 innings. And he wasn't highly thought of when they originally got him. Boy, he's turned into something special.
That breaking ball of his, you saw a lot of the Dodger buttocks on that breaking ball of his from his right-handed hitters.
He was a 23rd round draft pick in 2011. So I'm not sure what happened exactly, but he's picked up lots of miles an hour.
Yeah, I would say he's probably picked up a foot. Well, a foot on that fastball. And that is a lot.
Cody Allen's only 25 years old, so he's going to get better. And for Axford, one of his best pitches, and it was somewhat surprising because closers usually don't use this one, but he's got a real good overhand curveball.
Well, actually 1 for 4 against Axford, but it was a 2-run homer to win that ball game back on April 13th. That was the heel. Said he is really feeling good. That is good, but still, you cannot take any chances with that guy. Well, just imagine him in that lineup next year. That is a great thought. Ray, you and have a heel back to back. Especially if Abisail hits in front of him. Really. Slowly hit. Kipnis. Nice play. Nice play, Jason. 1 out.
Almost got a break on that, and the break would have been had it hit off Axford's glove. As it was, Kipnis was forced to make a very good play. But Axford can't get to it. Gets it there just a step ahead of Alexi.
So here's Abreu. He's 1 for 3, and he's 0 for 2 against Axford. Alexi has hit 24 out of the last 25 games. Breaking ball strike. Curveball.
That was a good one. Late breaking, especially when you've never seen it. Or if you have, you might have seen it once. Ball talking with Alejandro.
Two down.
That was a hard slider, not his big curveball. And he got Jose.
Here's Adam.
Here's our Xfinity high-speed action replay. And it came in the fifth. And with a towering home run, his 14th of the year. Put the Sox on top, 4-3 at the time. That was number 100 as a member of the Sox.
To the count with two down here in the top of the seventh. We scored two in the second. They scored two in the second. We scored one in the fourth. They scored one in the fourth. We scored one in the fifth. They scored three in the fifth. Three gift runs. If you're just tuning in. Three gift runs with no error committed. No error of commission.
Error of omission. On a tag that wasn't.
Reaches out, hooks it. That's fair. And Talon, seventh inning stretch. We trail it 6-4. Your wives on July 20th at Bub City for a night of live music, comedy, and the off-field talents of your favorite White Sox. Tickets are $125 and they're extremely limited. This is always a fun night, a real fun night. You get to see maybe a little different side of your favorite White Sox players. For purchase tickets, visit whitesoxcharities.org or call 312-674-5391. Brantley takes first pitch strike. Michael 0 for 3, but he has hit it hard twice. Andre has pitched well against these Indians. In fact, Brantley's faced him 7 times with 1 hit. Now make it 2.
He bounces it in the perfect spot. Now you have to deal with a perfect base stealer. He's 10 for 10 in stolen bases.
Nice crowd on hand. 24,600. 52. 24,652. So way above the average of 18,444. 144.
It couldn't be a more ideal evening for baseball. 75 degrees at game time. Not a cloud in the sky, which for Cleveland is fairly rare.
Santana 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts and a walk and a run scored. He is 3 for 7 lifetime off Renzo. Brantley, he will steal a base. He has tried 10 and he's made every one of them. 10 for 10. And since he doesn't have blazing speed, he has good speed. It probably also tells you that he's a pretty good picker of pitches. Which that plays a huge part with guys who don't have blazing speed.
He just appears to be getting better in every aspect of the game, whether it's hitting the ball out of the park, driving in runs, or base running. Not to mention the fact that there were a lot of folks that believed that he was going to be left field best when he came into the league. As it's turned out, with the accuracy of his arm and his ability to get a great jump, he's able to play center field and play it well.
Well, it's been a big part of baseball for a long time. Not as big, not as much, I should say, as it was in past years. But it will always be here, and that's guys hanging tags and monikers on players very quickly.
Well, they'll do it, and it used to be very difficult to overcome that.
Exactly.
Now you can overcome it.
Yeah. Once you got hung with a tag 30, 40, 50 years ago, it was probably going to stay with you. And then as time went on, free agency, expansion. Now, instead of 16 teams, you get 30. You get many more chances. There he goes. So he's going to score. And it's a 7-4 ball game.
Santana drives in his 37th. That's a very big run. He turns on a fastball down the middle of the plate and down. And you see the hit and run on because he's looking back to see if there's contact. And then he scores easily.
Robin is out. He's made the call. He wants the left hand. Chisenhall. He's 2 for 3. He's hit it hard all 3 times tonight. So Rienzo will depart. And it's easy to tell who's coming out if you wanted the left-hander. He's the only one we got. And we'll be back. On the only official home run derby mobile game from MLB.com. You can square off against your friends from around the world, live in multiplayer derby mode, and climb to the top of the leaderboards. Download today for free. That's free. One of Steve's favorite words, free, on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Well, I'd love to be able to know how to do that.
Well, Steve's one of his mantras is, if it's free, I'll take it. It's free.
And Eric Surkamp comes out on for the 9th time. ERA 4.15. And he inherits Carlos Santana out at second base. It's a 3-run Indian lead. And Surkamp is going to face Lonnie Chisenhall. Then he's probably going to stay in to face Swisher, hitting from the right side where he's hitting just 177. And then Murphy, the left-hander.
There's the bunt. So the sacrifice. As I mentioned, he was 2 for 3 and has hit it right on the money all 3 times.
And that's a 4th sacrifice of the year for Lonnie Chisenhall, so you don't see it very often. Guy hitting in the middle of your order with 4 sacrifices.
Well, you know, I happen to like that.
I like it too.
I do. I mean, you know, to me, I've said this not all my career because I didn't know it, but I learned it over the years of watching baseball. A manager never has complete control of his ball club unless everybody on that team feels bunt. And a great example of that was the St. Louis Cardinals. In a brought this up several times. I've watched 2 of their games 2 consecutive days on my iPad. One day Jim Edmonds bunted, and the next day Albert Pujols. Tony La Russa had complete control. And bounces over. So the line doesn't score. And it'll be an error on Leary, who's made a couple of real good plays tonight.
It's error number 5 on Leary. He was thinking about having to come home with it before he made that play. And Santana was not going to go. He doesn't have that kind of speed, especially with a drawn-in infield. But that being said, that's going to be the last man that Eric is going to face. And Ryan Rayburn has already been announced as a pinch hitter for Murphy. So that'll bring Daniel Webb into the game. And as he walks in, we'll step out and be back after these messages. Time his ERA pretty solid 3.26. He's 4-2 this year. And he inherits Indian base runners at first and third. One already in. And facing a 3-run deficit, you can ill afford allowing any more to score.
Seven runs on 9 hits, no errors for them. 4 runs on 8 hits, 2 errors of commission for us, and 1 error of omission. This guy has really been devastating against our pitching. He's a .302 career hitter, but that doesn't even come close to telling the story. Here, the 75 RBIs.
That's pretty amazing against one team, especially in 102 games for a guy not known as a big run producer.
I mean, that's incredible. It really is. 75 RBIs in 102 games.
He's 1 for 12 as a pinch hitter this year with a run batted in, hitting just .204 overall.
I was just ecstatic when I saw he was not in that lineup tonight.
No, been a tough year for him overall, but as they say, he would come out of a coma.
Yeah.
To face our pitching staff.
No, to face a White Sox uniform. It's amazing, the psyche. Everything is self-induced. You get some guys like that. They just see a certain uniform that they have been beating them to death. They could be in a funk, and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. Not this time. He gone.
Good slider, good pick by Nieto. He wanted it down. He got it down. And Rayburn, no match for that one.
No.
Terry Francona done a terrific job. He has 9 consecutive plus 500 seasons. That's Brad Mills to his left.
Brad Mills, excellent baseball.
Yes, he is.
Excellent.
Been with Terry a long time.
First pitch strike. Gomes has struck out and walked twice. Shot. Picked. Over to first. that ball found that glove. That ball was killed. Meanwhile, we're into the 8th. Trailing big.
Tweet your photo to hashtag #ChicagoFanPhoto for a chance to be shown on our broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T. Ryan Rayburn stays in the game in right field. And we've got a new pitcher. It's Brian Shaw. He's 3-1. His ERA 2.40, on for the 44th time. Only 12 walks and 41 1/3. That pen has a lot of pretty good ERAs in it.
Well, the composition of a bullpen today varies with each and every team according to their farm system, according to what they have at the major league level, to the extent of it's all right not to have a left-hander down there if you got 7 lockdown right-handers.
Where do you find those?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So now you don't find them.
Nope. You do not find them. You'll find a few. And on some of the better teams like Seattle and Kansas City, you'll find a lot.
Well, Kansas City last year, the best bullpen in baseball. And as we talked the other day, Detroit the other day was carrying 4.47 ERA in that bullpen. I think it's about 4.30, high 30s now. But if they carry that all year, they're not going to win that division. Not unless everybody else just falls apart.
I was going to say, I'm not too sure who's going to run them down.
But you can't carry it because it doesn't make it different. You saw what happened with us on that road trip. Yeah, we went 4-7. It should have been 8-3 with just decent bullpen work. In the last 2 games in Boston, it doesn't make it. Starters pitch great. It doesn't make any difference if you don't have the bullpen to cover the outs. Remaining outs, you're going to lose. Two and 2 to the count. The Tank, who's 0 for 3, a couple strikeouts, and a pop up to second. As a rule, you're going to have to cover a minimum of at least 6 outs in that bullpen.
If you only cover 6, you've got a wonderful starting rotation.
That's what I'm saying. Usually, if you don't have a good bullpen, those 6 outs are going to kill you. Especially the last 3. As he goes down, 1 out. This guy's been locked down against us.
Yeah, Shaw just reaches back and throws it right by him.
Good movement. So here's Gillespie, doubled and scored in the second, walked in the third, and grounded to second in the 5th. Takes first pitch strike. Sixth inning in Kansas City, 2-1 Tigers. Yeah, the trouble with those starters, there's only 1, maybe 2 teams in baseball that would not trade their starters for the Tiger starters. Dodgers being one. And Atlanta, when they're healthy, are pretty good.
Yeah, I think probably the Dodgers would be it.
I do too. I think Dodgers probably the only one. As he kept his foot on the bag, and that's out number 2.
The head of the bat and the baseball went right in the direction of Jason Kipnis.
The Dodger starters have the best ERA in baseball at 3.01.
Sure helps with Clayton Kershaw going, and he had his streak snapped, but 41 straight scoreless innings before Chase Headley finally hit a home run and snapped that streak. 3rd longest in Dodger history.
Perception in that case is not reality, because perception would tell you that the longest scoreless streak ever was modern times was by Sandy Koufax, but it's not the case. It's Hershiser and Drysdale, and then Kershaw. Sandy's not in the top 3, but it seems like they never scored. It seems like Sandy was the luckiest pitcher to ever live.
Earl was 59, and Don was right there. In fact, Orel just went by him. Don was 58 and a third, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, Dickie Dietz, famous.
It was
by a pitch.
Harry Wendelstedt, I believe, said that he did not try to get out of the way of it, and I'm not sure if there's anybody who didn't try to get out of the way of a Drysdale fastball.
Rings him up on a pitch that was close, but not a strike.
It's a 7-4 game. Indians about hit the Sox 9-8. Both errors made by our Sox, and Daniel Webb stays in the game. He came on to polish off his 7th inning. He's going to start with the bottom part of the order and try to hold the Indians at bay. And there's one of the big hitters of the night, Nick Swisher. Swisher has 9 consecutive seasons with 20 or more home runs, and he's going to be hard pressed this year to get there. He hit his 8th tonight.
So here is Chris Dickerson. Swisher's been a good player. He's been a good performer. He's been a guy who knocked in some big runs for every team he's been with. And as he did tonight.
He did excel on the big stage in New York. He was very good for the Yankees.
Oh, that town was made for him.
Yeah.
Some guys can play there, other guys can't.
Well, there's a lot of guys who can't.
One of the most notable, a couple of guys. Ed Whitson, Kenny Rogers. Two pretty good pitchers. Just could not cope with the big apple. One of the most talented players I ever saw in my career was Joe Pepitone. And there's a shot right back through the middle by Dickerson. So he's now 1 for 2. And since joining this club, he's 8 for 17. So here's Kipnis.
Anto going out there to talk with Webb. Well, I pitched to Joe Pepitone, and I know you played against him. To me, it seemed like he squandered a tremendous amount of talent.
He's one of the most talented guys I ever saw, one of the best fastball hitters I've ever seen. The tremendous first baseman, center fielder.
Great
could
power.
really run.
He could hit him a long way, too.
Oh, sure. He just, he just couldn't cope with New York. Two and one to count. In fact, that Ed Whitson is one of the few guys who ever really dealt a lot of punishment out to Billy Martin.
Yeah, Billy picked on the wrong guy there.
We just gotten into town. We were going to play the Orioles. And the Yankees were spending the night, leaving the next morning. As there's a ground ball, quick shuffle, and rack him up. 2 down.
Dickerson started a run, then didn't, and that allowed the double play.
That was at the Cross Keys Hotel.
Remember it well.
And I didn't see it. But they say that Billy went looking for Whitson. He found it. Whitson almost beat him to death. And Billy was a tough guy. Billy was a tough little guy. Oh, 1 to count. Two strikes for Cabrera. 2 for 3. Single, a bunt single, run scored, stolen base. He gone. We're into the 9th. We need some runs. We trail at 7-4.
TSN for White Sox postgame live, presented by Subaru. Get the recap on tonight's game and all the action around the league. Don't miss White Sox postgame live tonight right after the game on Comcast Sportsnet. And we've got a new pitcher coming in. We've talked about him extensively earlier. It's Cody Allen. He's 3-2 this year, but his ERA 2.27, on for the 45th time. He started out as a setup man this year. He's moved to the closer role. He's got 10 of them, looking for his 11th. 50 strikeouts in 39 2/3, just 16 walks.
Out of Orlando, Florida.
Pretty amazing sign. 23rd round, 698th player chosen overall in 2011. But the Indians knew right from the start what he was and what he wasn't. And what he wasn't was a starter, because he's never started a game in professional baseball.
Cody graduated from Boone High School. Ron Karkovice and others went there. John Hart was a baseball coach there for years before moving into the professional ranks, becoming a general manager. Nieto 2 for 3, a double, a single, and an RBI, and he takes that strike. That one at 95. That one at 96. One down.
You might be able to catch up to the fastball, but you're not going to catch up to it up there. Not if you hit from the left side. And the last two high fastballs thrown right by Adrian.
Well, he can do it. So here's Leury. That one at 96. The other guys who went to Boone with Joe Oliver, Mike Maroth, Paul Wilson. That one at 96.
I saw Paul Wilson when he came into the league with the New York Mets, and he had as good a stuff as anybody to come in this league.
Yeah.
Probably forever. Yeah. And he just blew his arm out.
He was impressive.
Yes, he was.
Two down.
Cody Allen just reaching back, and here it is, boys. See if you can hit it.
Well, besides having the stuff, it looks like he's got the stones and the mindset.
Yeah, he believes in his stuff, and he says, you know, I'm not going to trick you. I'm going to throw it by you.
Here's Adam, 1 for 3 with an RBI double.
That one, that last pitch, you're not going to hit. You better hit his fastball.
That's the one I was talking about with the Dodgers.
Yeah. You better hit his fastball.
Well, we got a guy sitting right about 30 feet from us. When he first joined us in Cleveland here, he was not a hard thrower, and he became a very hard thrower, and that was Ed Farmer. He was a sinker slider guy, and all of a sudden he became a hard thrower with one of the best curveballs in the game. That one at 96, and the count 1-2. Another foul ball off the bat of Adam Eaton. He's had a few of those this evening. This ball game is over. So the Sox had a lead 4-3 and a big play that was not made. 2 out. Attempted steal by Cabrera. The tag was missed by Alexei. That would have ended the inning. We would have led it 4-3. After that, they scored 3 runs, added 1 more, and they won it 7-4. And our GMC player of the game is Nick Swisher. Big 2-run homer. His 8th of the year, knocking in 2